Went to therapy today. She told me I was giving badassery. Yeah, she said there was a certain lightness about me. I said, well, yeah, I've been swing dancing alone in my kitchen. That'll do that to a person. The thing is, like, I felt it. I felt the level of badassery that she was reflecting back to me, but I didn't have the word for it. I've I've just in the past few weeks been really grappling with. Let me change the tone. Sorry about that. I'm gonna have to change the tone because this is real. This is serious. In the past few weeks, I have been grappling with the reality that I've struggled to see my own competence. I know it. I know it. I guess I would say I see it, but to feel it, to know it on a deeper inner level where that dictates the way that I move through the world from a place of knowing, that's shifting. The ground from which I stand. I've even been like really practicing the way that my body aligns, like posturally. Is that a word? Because I can feel the tension and the stress and the friction when I'm like holding certain muscles in place and bracing and not in alignment. And I'm seeing that like play out in multiple areas of my life. I feel like I'm at a very pivotal juncture, crossroads, threshold, space of liminality. There's a chapter of my life that feels narrowing and in making an internal declaration and having recognition of this chapter closing was a journey. Holding that space while not knowing what new chapter might open has also been a journey. And I recently got like I would liken it to feeling like you're in a dark tunnel waiting for just a speck of light to remind you that you're not in this dark space forever, that there is some pinpoint out in the distance indicating a source of light somewhere. And it was actually during the last full moon in Aquarius, I saw light coming from what seemed to be a door in the distance. And I was like, oh, there you are. I was like, oh. And I was just so waiting for that moment where I could start to release my grip on this one door that I'm ready to close and make my way towards this new opening. And so I've really been putting in work. And sometimes that work is swing dancing alone in my kitchen. Sometimes that work is sitting on the couch and allowing this deep grief to surface out of nowhere, not needing for there to be a reason and just allowing myself to be with that grief and those tears and choosing to see this movement of energy as a cleansing and a clearing in the same way that moving my body is new and foreign and freeing up what is stuck. What is stuck in my physical body, in my emotional body, what is creating friction. Ironically, just had to replace, not ironically, both rear wheel bearings in my car. That was unexpected. And then I looked up what the actual wheel bearings symbolize, of course, but like what their role is. And it's just literally so timely, so divinely timed to reflect back this friction that is causing interference in ease and flow and aligning to what is meant and true. And maybe this one thing was meant for me and true in this chapter of my life, and I do see it as such, and also is no longer. And so accepting all of those things. What was, what is no longer needed, what might be, what is unknown, what is foreign, what is scary, what is exciting, and also fear inducing. I went to a Mind Body Spirit Expo the other day for the first time in a very long time. I recognized that I had some fear and anxiety around that sphere, which is maybe a conversation for another day. Something that's been a source of curiosity and interest for me for like the past almost 20 years. Trying to do the math of how old I am. Yeah, almost 20 years. No, that can't be right. Okay, like 15 to 18 years. That's closer to right. I was I 15? Um, Certain things happened that sort of tainted, we just come to associate things, and realizing all the different little spaces that my power is elsewhere and not with me, and taking steps to call those things back home. It's in so many little things that we often don't realize how much of it is elsewhere. Like, even having to get my wheel bearings replaced, something that would have historically induced a lot of anxiety and fear and overthinking and, oh, but I don't have the awareness or the knowledge or the experience to make an informed decision. How can I trust other people to have my best interest in mind? And ultimately accepting the small amount of control that we have, and at the same time the power that we retain even in our little sliver of control, but that is an active choice. And so when I first heard the sound in my car, I was like, uh-oh. What is that? And aside from like the actual sound of it irritating my brain in such a specific way, I didn't spend so much time in the space of like overthinking and anxiety before I was like, okay, what action is needed of me? What next thing is required? And I feel like that's being echoed in many different ways. Like, what what is the next thing being asked of me? And I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have to have all of the knowledge or all of the experience or all of the answers. I To go back to like what I was talking about in the beginning, recognizing my own competence or skill set, I never really felt I had on paper direction or purpose or like even passion or ambition. Like, it's been such a journey to find those things within myself that the first glimpse of like, oh, I actually have the experience now to say to myself, wait, I am so capable and so competent and so skilled in so many different ways. When am I going to accept that for myself and own that for myself? And so it's been a journey to do that, and directly seeing the impact that those small steps of reclaiming have on what the world reflects back to me, and what experiences come towards me, and what people gravitate towards me. And it's a relationship. It's a relationship between us and ourselves, between us and others, between, like, all of this is dynamic and fluid. And when we get stuck and we hold the tension and the friction and the gunk, and it solidifies and rigidifies, that's when we forget. And maybe those are pockets of forgetfulness also. And so we have to coax them out. We have to move them into remembrance. We have to move our body in ways that allow our soul to remember. And it's a relationship also between our body and our mind and our soul and our spirit and all of these things that we move through the world with, including the history that is us, all of the memories that make us a uniform individual, and those things always change. And so allowing those new stories and those new memories to take space also, and not just bringing this past version of ourselves into the future and calling that expansion and growth. It happens from the inside. And for that, we have to be willing to go within. And it hurts and it's scary, and there are places we don't want to go, and things we don't want to see, and things we don't want to remember. And so we do it safely and in small bits, and we trust ourselves. We trust our capacity, our strength, our resilience. We trust our ability to know, to not have to force that knowing, but just to feel its truth, to feel truth in the body as an anchor and as a guide. And I think that from that space, we can learn to really navigate all that might come our way. That doesn't make it easy, but it does put the power back where it belongs.